So, what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be going through some 2D libraries that you can go through, and I have no knowledge of these libraries. I have worked a little bit in OpenGL, which is apparently a 3D library, which is a lot harder to do. So I'm going to go through a 2D library in C++. These videos will have a basic, assuming you have a basic knowledge of how C++ and compilers work. However, if you have any more advanced questions, I suggest you look up these tutorials yourself. You're going to be watching me as I fail many times. Alright, so we are going to try this first one. Simple Direct Mediator is a cross-platform development library designed to provide low-level access to audio, keyboard, mouse, joystick, and graphics hardware via OpenGL and Direct3D. Okay. So that's the license. This is basically saying it's open source, but you cannot claim any sort of stuff about the software. Download. If you download tar.gz, this is a Linux download. You're going to want to download the zip files, which are for OpenGL. Okay, they don't take too long to download. I have a place where I place my libraries. It is in a C++ folder. I'm just going to copy and paste this whole library to this folder. And I'm going to rename it SDL for game design. Okay. I'm just going to look up some free SDL tutorials, which is setting up SDL in Windows. I will be using, this website is very outdated, I would not use this one. SDL tutorials. This is if you're using other compilers that are more open source. I like using Visual Studio, so I'm going to look specifically on how to set up SDL tutorials in Visual Studio, and I am using 2015. Setting up SDL2 with Visual Studio. This looks very promising. So I have downloaded the latest libraries, create a subfolder. Now we can create an empty, so we are going to start a new project. This is going to be an empty Visual C++ project. So we want to start with an empty project. Okay. Now we need to tell Visual Studio, so I am reading these tutorials as I'm going through them. First, we need to tell Visual Studio where to look for the SDL2 header files in the include folder to the include directories. So, how we get there, we're going to right-click on Project 8, go to Properties, in Visual C++ Directories, Include Directories, you can hit this button, go to Edit, this little folder button, because I've done this a little bit in Visual Studio. This is going to tell you where your directories are, so you can go back up. Oh look, I'm in my C++ folder, SDL for game design. So I'm going to want to go to, I'm going to want to select this include folder for the include. Then it looks like we are going to go to linker, go to general, go to additional library directories. Yep. Click on this, go to edit, click on the little folder icon and the three dots again. You're going to have to go back up through your folder because you're going to be linked to your project. Go to lib and go to the architecture you want to design for. And then we are going to go to input in linker. Now this says to replace the value of additional dependencies. So you're going to highlight all, go SDL2.lib, semicolon SDL2 main.lib. And then what we are going to do, linker system, we need to set a subsystem, Windows /subsys. I cannot spell today. Subsystem : Windows. That should be, now this should, according to them, be all the configuration we need to get started. So we are going to add a new main. So go to add, right click on the project, add a new item, or you can Control-Shift-A. We're going to do a C++ file. We are going to name this main.cpp. And then we are going to copy this text to see whether it works, just to see if we've got the linkers done correctly. So you can tell that it's been done correctly because it's already auto-suggesting the libraries, which is a really good sign. We're going to go int main. Now this is super unique to int rgc char argv SDL init, which means we're initiating the SDL, and we are calling this library. We've already called the library SDL underscore init underscore video semicolon, and then it's always good to leave comments. I'm going to copy these comments from this tutorial, and I will give a huge shout out to GG Labs for these free tutorials they post online. And then, so this is where your game code will go as you program further down the road. And then to finish, you're going to go SDL underscore quit, parentheses, and then as always in a C++, you are going to return 0. And then you can Control-Shift-B, or you can go to build solution, and it's going to run to see if, oh, so it looks like we have an issue here. That is actually really fun, and sorry about the email stuff. I am trying to get into IT. So element subsystem has an invalid value of Windows subsystem Windows. And that's the only error. So, what this problem is showing us is that Visual Studio 2015 contains a written CRT with many bug and performance fixes. So basically, until this is resolved, we have to throw out the folder and instead make a new one from the last SDL2. So we are going to go, this tutorial is really, really interesting, and I'm going to have to go through it. Sorry, I went in blind to this video, guys, just to let you all know. So what you are seeing is what you are getting. So I'm going to see what this... So that does not look like the error that I am getting. It's like I am getting a different error. So that's not helpful at all. Sorry about the silence there. So we're going to see I am wondering whether just space is the problem, because everything matters in a build like this. Because SDL.dll2 is missing from your computer. Try reinstalling the program to install it. So we are going to go to my downloads, SDL, SDL2.dll. We're going to try opening this in Visual Studio. No, we do not want to delete this. We want to copy this. And let's try so it looks like we have finally come across this problem. So what we're going to try and do is go through their fix. Fortunately, there is pretty clear. Grab SDL.dll from it and put it in the project's debug folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this we are on project 8. I have no idea where my C++ files go. So we're going to check and see whether Visual Studio. Nope. Local disk. Documents. I'm really hoping it doesn't store it on my SSD. That would not be fun for me. So those are all the Visual Studio stuff that I actually need to run Visual Studio. Go to Documents. Open Folder and File Explorer. That was easier than I thought it should be. And it says we want to grab it and put it in the project's debug folder. So we are going to paste sdl2.dll to the debug folder. It's really fun watching someone fail, isn't it? And then we are going to try F5 again. sdl2.dll is missing from the computer. That is weird. Open folder and file. So we are going to go to debug. This is where we want to be. Oh, and then it says we need to actually call the directory when in the debugging. So we're going to right click here. Go to Properties, General Configurations Debugging, Working Directory is what we're looking for, and I am terrible at looking for stuff right now. Oh, I am definitely terrible for looking stuff. Working Directory, Project Directory, and then we're going to go $sign, I know there's actually a name. Configuration. That's fun. // And then we are going to hit OK, because what that does, according to this tutorial, is that overrides the default debug, and that should create a window for us, which, by the looks of things, it does. So what we can do to ensure that that actually worked is we can go character F and then go C in F. What this does is it's going to pause the window so that we can actually see what happens. And we want to actually include input-output stream, and use namespace standard. And then we're going to see if this works. So that actually works, and it doesn't have any errors. But we're going to delete these because that's not what's actually in the tutorial. And then that will be it for today, guys. You got to see me play around with SDL and hopefully fail a little bit. That was really fun. Alright, I will catch you all in the next one.